Hello and welcome back to the Gfinity Starcraft Spring Masters 2 live from London, England. What a wonderful shot there. It's all happening. Makes me want to be outside almost. No,
Almost.
I'm just kidding. We've had a great time so far. It's been awesome. We've had some great games kicking off. And just to give you an update, I believe that Jadon has won his game against Patience.
Yeah, so Patience exiting the tournament, but he had a good run. I mean, beating MC, even though he's done it several times in the past, like him getting this far was pretty good for him. But Jadon, wow, I did not expect him to make top 4 this tournament. Like a bit of a revival going on here for him.
Yeah, I mean, happy for him in a way because he's been in such a slump.
Yeah.
And, you know, he seems to have almost reinvented himself. He's winning in ways that he wasn't winning in before.
Yeah, like he's always been a very clean, mechanical player. He's always had a bit of that, like, killer instinct where he can cheese people. I remember him going up against Tasia quite a few times, who everybody saw Tasia as like a much better player, but Jadon just cheesed him out of the tournament. Like, he knows how to win. So it's really nice to see that he's actually back on form and actually playing very well too. Got Hydra next in the semi-final there, though, so it's going to be very hard for him.
So look, what we're going to do is just for the people who might be tuning in, obviously it's that time of the day, we know our numbers are going to start spiking. We're just going to give you a rundown of how the tournament works, just in case you haven't seen a StarCraft tournament before. We did start with 16 of the world's best players. We've whittled that down to 8, and we're whittling that down with each passing moment. And we are using the dual group format. Talk us through it, Ben.
4 players per group to make it out. So you get player 1 plays against player 2, player 3 against player 4. The winners then play a match against each other in which the winner goes on. The losers play a match, the loser goes out. Then the guys that are left over, they play a match to see who goes through. It's very cutthroat.
Yeah, it did brutal by the sounds of it. And of course, the winner will get $5,000 and 300 WCS ranking points. You know about those ranking points, don't you?
I know about the WCS ranking points, Richard. I have a few myself, not enough to be anywhere close near the top 16, but that's the end goal. Top 16 gets to go to BlizzCon. So normally the main way you get those points is by either winning a WCS or winning a GSL, winning an SSL. However, if you get top 4 or top 2 or even a couple of top 8s in one of those, you really need the other WCS events like Gfinity, like the DreamHacks to supplement, to still get into that top 16. And we saw players like MC and Hyun do that last year very well. They got a lot of WCS points from all those extra tournaments, and they made it to BlizzCon.
And every point matters, because I mean, we saw Snoot last year. He was at point 60. He's like rank 16.
Remember that Snoot watch?
Yeah, he dropped out by like 25 points or
brutal.
something. So yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah, it can do. So if you've not been able to follow the tournament and you want to see some of the VODs of the games, we have got some YouTube channels. It's over at Gfinity VOD if you want to watch the VODs appropriately. And if you want to see any of the little mini documentaries and featurettes that we've been doing, you can see that at Gfinity TV. Both those channels on YouTube available now. So if you have missed anything, jump in there and look at those. Now, this is what we're really all about, yeah? 3 foreigners in a room, not on foreign soil, but we're still foreigners because it's StarCraft. Bunny's coming up.
I'm very much so looking forward to this. And these guys, as you said earlier, they've never played before. So
Yeah.
that's cool when it's like a fresh matchup, because these guys, they probably know of each other's styles. They've been able to study and stuff, but until you actually play against somebody, you don't really know, you know? So, yeah, and true, he's been looking strong, but Bunny, he's my guy.
And Bunny, he's had a bit of a couple of mixed performances here. We saw him win very clean in his first game, and then he wasn't happy with the way that he wanted to sort of progress through the groups. So talk us through Bunny's performances.
Well, I mean, he still came out first in the group.
Yes, but he said he wasn't happy.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the point. No need to rip into me, Ben.
Yeah. He felt very happy with the games against MC. He also said that he felt Patience was a way better player, at least in the PvT matchup. And the games against Patience, even though he managed to win them in the end, there were a few mistakes in that we noticed as well. And he himself found it very annoying that he made those mistakes, because there were quite big mistakes. And in other games, he could have made them
penalized.
Of course, now he's playing a different matchup, but this is a matchup that he doesn't prefer so much. The new maps, he doesn't really like them against Zerg. He said it's his weakest matchup right now. And when I was asking him yesterday, True and Hyun were playing the constellation match. He was like, I'd rather play Hyun. I know his style better, and I think we match up better. True is a guy that is known to throw in a lot of aggressive stuff. Is very aggressive with links and banelings. And Bunny didn't feel very confident playing against this certain style that True was playing compared to the new maps.
How much is it going to affect Bunny in the sense that this is a fresh matchup. They've not played each other before. You can't really get a read on your opponent. You've never been in that situation. Is this something for Bunny to be doubly worried about? Is this a real banana skin for him here?
A banana skin.
Yes.
Like the way that Bunny plays, it makes it difficult because he's the kind of guy that plays defensive and he adapts to his opponent. So the reason that he's so good against Hyun, he was one of the first Terrans that really figured out how to beat Roach all-ins and very aggressive Roach players. And Hyun, when he went up against a player that knew what he was doing, which is Bunny, like it took him quite a few attempts too. Like Hyun was owning every Terran in Europe, including Bunny, but then just at one moment, Bunny finally discovered how to beat him. So he's a thinker, but he's not one of these guys that will dictate the pace of the game and rush it and try and kill his opponent. He's the guy that he does react to his opponent. So the first game or two might be a little bit shaky, but honestly, the further this series goes on, the better it is for Bunny, I see.
And how does that contrast with True's style of approaching the game?
But True is kind of the crazy scientist guy that can throw out anything, right? He'll be like, all right, lay links here, bane links there, and he can do all-ins. He can play really good macro, and he has different macro styles as well. He's a very diverse player, so I would say if they would have played before, it would have definitely been more in Bunny's favor than in True's, because if you figure out True, he isn't the strongest player mechanically. I think Bunny would be a stronger player mechanically, even though True is the Korean here. Bunny has very, very good mechanics and very good general game understanding. True is more the guy with the crazy strategies, very good unit movement, and very, very good at taking fights as well.
Just to give everyone at home a quick update on the bracket as well, because obviously it's constantly evolving and percolating. You can see that we've got confirmation of Jaedong winning 3-1 against Patience, and that sets up Jaedong Hydra there in the semis. That's going to be one to watch, absolutely. That's going to be a beast of a game. And you can see, obviously, if you did just miss it earlier, Hydra just beasted SOS. It was incredible, like such a quick series. So
yeah, Zerg's doing well despite the nerf.
Yeah, I know. What nerf, right? So look, anyway, predictions.
Predictions?
Harstom's already ahead.
I'm gonna go for True on this one.
Really? I'm gonna go for Bunny.
Yeah, I'm feeling Bunny as well. I thought it was going to be a Bunny SOS final, so. But I don't know what you're smirking at, guys. Is it?
He's tearing up.
Oh, is that what it is? He's getting a bit emotional.
Right over here, Rich.
Mate, look, we've all been there, mate. It's you know. Right, well, look, anyway, don't go too far. We're going to come back and get your thoughts. But we'll go out with our casters now and bring us this game. Thanks a lot, guys. Take it away, boys.
Alright guys, from that emotional scene we're coming to our game now. We have of course a Terran versus Zerg. It is the first one that we have to cast here actually.
Yeah, exactly. So don't worry, Harstom, you can dry the Protoss tears. No Protosses will be harmed in this best of 5, but it is going to be a very entertaining matchup. And I think actually the predictions on the analyst desk are worth talking about. Very, very interesting dynamic here between these players.
I have to admit that the results that we had in the bracket so far also surprised me quite a bit. I expected Patience after the performance yesterday. He looked very strong to give Jaedong not only a run for his money but also take him down. But Jaedong now in the top 4, always great to have the Dong back in here in the semifinal now. That also leaves us with a situation where we could potentially see 4 Zerg players in the top 4. Bunny is not only the last foreigner fighting, he's also the last non-Zerg and the only Terran player left in the tournament, therefore.
And so this is how the bracket is going to be shaping up. In terms of map vetoes for this best of 5, we will be starting on Echo, followed by Inferno Pools, and then Iron Fortress. And of course, if they're required, we'll be heading into Cactus Valley, and then Coda as our 5th and final map. Now, Inferno Pools, in particular, we haven't seen it too much sort of front-weighted, but it'll be very interesting to see how the players take that.
And talking about the players, we have them live in the game. Game number 1 in the best of 5 series here at the Gfinity Masters. We're having down to the bottom right on Echo, the Zerg player. It is the Korean, it is True!
And his opponent spawning up to the top left position as the blue Terran player representing Team Liquid.net, fan favorite and foreign hope. Can he pull through to the semi-finals? Ladies and gentlemen, we have Liquid Bunny.
Yeah, for Bunny, it is also the first time that he plays against a Zerg player in this tournament. In his group, he had to face players like Patience, MC. Hart was the 4th player in the group that he didn't have to play. But for Bunny now, this is of course also a very interesting match, since analysis also went over that it is the first time that they play each other. And interestingly enough, if you go down the match history of True, you nearly exclusively see him playing against Zergs and against Protoss players.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't really played too much against Terran here, which makes it a little more of an unknown factor as well. I actually spoke to a couple of players before this as well. I managed to sneak in a couple of interviews this morning, and Bunny was one of the players I spoke to. And it's really interesting because he said he was more confident in his TVZ in the last Gfinity event compared to this weekend. And I thought, really? And he's like, yeah, I just haven't been able to adapt, like the analyst has said, to the new maps at the moment. And it feels like that he's exclusively been playing TVT. So he's a little bit less confident than I thought he was going to be going into this matchup. But here's what's interesting, Kaldor. I spoke to Solar, and Solar said, actually, I'm really afraid of Bunny's TVZ mech. He thinks Bunny is absolutely amazing, and he wonders that if Bunny goes mech, if he's going to win this.
I would actually not mind seeing Bunny pull out his mech strategies here. For True, as we said, I mean, he didn't really play too much against Terran yet, other in the recent past, and most of the tournaments that he actually played, he could prepare quite a bit. So the preparation effort that he usually put into a matchup definitely is something that he might be lacking here, since there was also no Terran play in his group. He didn't really have to prepare for anybody there, and this might give Bunny a bit of an edge. Bunny currently not really too confident in the matchup. We've been talking about it, but this is the first one, and I mean, if you take it here on Echo, then you get some momentum for yourself, and I feel that especially for a player like Bunny, confidence in his abilities is everything, so a win on map number 1 would go a long way.
And like with, because True has just such an aggressive style as well, that initial scout is going to be calming the nerves a bit for Bunny, spotting that in the main base nothing untoward is going on, just double checking the gas timing. He's got his natural expansion down now as well, and a bunker safely up in front of that, so Bunny not having to deal with any early game shenanigans here, able to go into what he feels is going to be the most comfortable scenario for him. And note, by the way, we have no major Reaper harass or anything going on the map. Bunny has something a little bit different prepared this time around, as the Zergling scout is denied. Yeah,
Bunny went straight into a command center first, started with an early expand here. And if you consider what Analysis Desk has been talking about earlier, it's not a too ballsy move, but still, like, True is known for his aggression. Harsum called him the mad scientist, which I kind of like.
Yep.
So this is something where, at least for now, Bunny didn't have to deal with anything crazy just yet. We see both of the players just playing a very reserved first game, at least up to now, playing it safe, playing just like to their own strength and trying to go into that mid game, not going for early game aggression that we saw, for example, in the last Best of 5 series. I was really surprised.
That was just really, really quick. I mean, Hydra completely cleaned house, and that was that was like it was so fast. I mean, you were talking earlier about how, like, actually, you know, I wouldn't mind going to grab a coffee before we start casting, and it's like, oh, I don't even have time to do that. It's over. That's
first game starts, and I'm thinking to myself, do I get a coffee? Do I get something to eat right now? I still have some time left. And
no,
suddenly that massive attack in game number 2, and it was like, all of them was like, oh, I should probably stay here.
Yeah.
So yeah, our second best of 5 of the day, and well, we already have Lynx dancing there, waiting for a potential Reaper that is never going to come, at least so far. Bunny hasn't set anything into motion for that yet, but we have him with a third base, so he's going straight into that third command center, playing with the 3 CCs. We're having at the same time his opponent, adding his tech, Lair tech coming up, a Banelingness just to be on the safe side. No matter what Bunny throws at him, he should be ready for that. Speedlings are coming up, and he goes straight into that very, very fast Spire that we oftentimes see still. So this is going to be True, trying to just harass Bunny. Bunny should anticipate that, though.
This is, I think those Zerglings dancing around waiting for the Reaper is a great example of how these players haven't faced each other before, but they've done their homework a little bit. Bunny loves opening up Reaper against almost every Zerg he faces, and True would know that, which is why those Lings were just on patrol for so long there. Bunny, though, like you said, going for that fast 3cc. We've got the Banshee incoming for him as well, and he has just put down back at home in Armory, so this could get a little bit aggressive for our Team Liquid Terran if he wants to prod a little bit of pressure against the third base here, for example.
Yeah, it's definitely that option to do that later. I completely agree here. We have the third base, talking about third base, is also coming up now for True. And of course, Bunny with the scans, just making sure that he sees everything that's happening here. He already has a good look at the Spire, so he knows exactly what he's in for and can now start to react. We have him adding additional factories, so we're going to see that mech style for him, of course.
Oh, I'm so excited. I really want this mech. I mean, if Solar talks to me and he says, actually, I'm a little bit afraid of Bunny's mech, I really want to see what this is going to look like, but he does have to be careful because the Spire is almost done. There's a limited amount of time he's going to have to roast away at these Lings, for example, before the Mutalisks completely drive them away and establish Zerg map control getting into the start of this mid-game.
We have even Vikings started now. That is, of course, great to zone out Mutalisks then later on. Vikings, in general, you don't ever want to really go up into a straight-up fight against Mutalisks, but if you can use them to zone and you have some support from anti-air units like a Thor, like a missile turret, then it's always great to have those in the game. And 7 Mutalisks are now in the making as the Banshee is making its way over into the natural here, taking down 5 Harvesters, but will die to the Queen here. Gets a decent amount of Harvesters out of it. Was only 1 Banshee, didn't even invest into Cloak, so actually a pretty nice effort here by Brownie.
Yeah, definitely not bad indeed. And we can see Bunny now. Okay, this is really the hallmark of the kind of mech play, guys. Moving the Hellions back. Oh no! This could actually be disastrous for him. Lings into the natural and into the main base. He's going to be crawling away at the reactor attached to that starport. So many workers going down right now. He had 3 turrets going up. He was getting the static defense ready to get those Thors out, get that mech army out. And True has come by and said, you know what, mate? Not interested in giving you the time to do this. And he's done a lot of damage with this attack.
I cannot believe that just happened. Bunny completely forgetting to lift his depot here. Not quite sure how that happened, but it is disastrous for the Terran player. He lost 16 Harvesters already. Those Zerglings are just demolishing everything. The Mutalisks, on the other hand, trying to get a few kills in as well. And it's not only about the kills against the economy, that's 19 Harvesters that he just lost, but it's also, of course, completely throwing the entire game out of balance for Bunny, who suddenly had to deal with that aggression. He didn't even have a wall set up to the top of the main base, so he couldn't even prevent the Zerglings from running in there. That one depot forgetting to lift that might have just cost him the game.
That was absolutely huge. You can see Truna getting a massive round of drones off the back of that. He's at 67 to 39 right now, guys, and he's starting his Roach Warren in response to the mech. What Bunny wanted to do, if he had another 30 seconds there, was to get those initial missile turrets up, shore up the defense at home, get the first couple of Thors, and be fine going into the mid-game. He wasn't expecting True to come in with that band of Zerglings, as we can tell, because he didn't actually lift the depot, and he really didn't want that damage to be done. So now, Bunny's going on the counterattack. He has an army advantage temporarily, but True, well, here we go. Let's see if the Mutas can defend here.
What helps him is, of course, that third command center that he had. With the orbital, he at least has the mules that he can use. Needs to set that down, and there is already an overlord spreading creep. But at least with the help of the mules, he can, for a short period of time, keep his economy up. The problem, of course, is that he would love to also scan ahead and really find out where exactly the Zerg player positions his army. Can't really do both of it right now, but at least in terms of income, it keeps it for a short period of time on eye level with True. But you can already tell that True has its significant advantage. He is taking the supply lead, he's getting all of his tech out, we're having him with upgrades for Mutalisks, for ground units alike. He's currently going for the +1 attack range upgrade and even establishing himself a 4th base. So True knows that the map is his right now, and he is using that advantage.
Now here's the question, Kaldor. I mean, Bunny, he's going mech, right? So you want to make sure we're in a situation... Oh, hang on a second, never mind. 5 more barracks coming out, so he's going to be switching out of that. But as that player who's defensive, you know you've had 19 workers dead. You need to be able to shore up your position. You've got the triple command center. If you have time to produce SCVs, it can stabilize. How does True get into the Terran base and say, actually, I just want to close this out now? What's True thinking?
What I would actually like to see from True in that regard is, first of all, a bit more of an aggressive creep spread, just so that he has better control on the map, because one of the problems that he could run into in the long run is just like drop play, harass with Hellions, and then along those lines, and just getting bases, getting his economy up, getting his tech out, and just controlling the map and trying to prevent the Terran player from simply expanding again. He's already harassing with roaches, moving in right now into this position. We have only a few siege tanks, 1 on the high ground, 2 on the low ground. Here are the double, the triple Thors with another one coming down the ramp, and he is doing really well with his defense so far, but there's still a fair amount of roaches trying to get into the main base. The siege tanks are gone. Most of those roaches are extremely low, but he needs to send the Thors now after them to take them out.
That's right, and the roaches are a little bit faster than the Thors as well. They're going to be able to get inside the main base. Really frustrating situation with Bunny as he dips below 100 supply. True off the back of this, he's getting +2 attack for the roaches, +1 attack for the mutas as well, and 13 more incoming. This muta switch could end up being devastating, although Bunny still at least has a good number of Thors.
Yeah, but the Mutalisks, they can definitely be devastating, and we lost another 25 Harvester for Bunny. Now he's down to 45 again against 70, and this situation is absolutely brutal for the Terran player. The switch into Mutalisks, even if you have the Thors in position, with this many Mutalisks, you can just like roam towards the base, you take down a missile turret, you keep harassing the economy, take down a few additional Harvesters, and Bunny is at this point in a position where the only thing that he can really do is react to what his opponent throws at him.
That siege tank was like the saddest siege tank in the world. 3 roaches right next to it, couldn't do a thing about it, just sat there and took it. True now up by 40 supply. We have an army over to the top right as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see if that's the flying variety, and there we go. The next band of mutas coming in to do some follow-up damage.
There's not even Stim yet. I mean, he switched very late into Bio. Stim has just started. The upgrades for him are also not too great, considering how fast True is now getting in his own out there. True has a 50 supply lead, and here we go. We have the missile turret not being enough. Too many Mutalisks there, chasing down the Thors as well. He can snipe this one easily, and he does. Takes down the Vikings in the process, loses the fair share of Mutalisks, but still, he has the economy to pull that off. Killed another 8 Harvesters. I think in total, he killed like 50 Harvesters already.
Yeah, it's been a little bit ridiculous. Spot on there,
That was a
Kaldor.
pretty good estimation.
Exactly right. And right now, I mean, Bunny's doing all the right things. The problem is he's doing all the right things just a lot later than normal because of that late switch back into Bio that you were talking about just now. He's getting his +2. Stim halfway done. A little bit of a tricky situation there because we are at the 17-minute mark of this game. So Bunny really wants to stabilize and stay in his shell for like 2 or 3 minutes here, but Trues, he's just going to keep piling on the aggression.
As the Terran player, of course, in general, but especially when you go for mech, which he's kind of switching out of now, you really want to turtle up on your 2-3 bases, expand slowly but steadily across the map, make sure that you just have a very solid position that your opponent cannot take down. This is one of the reasons why I really feel that True should try to take more of the map for himself now, and he does that with another expansion. He's starting, now that he's at 200 supply, to also add more tech with an infestation pit. He can head into Hive and can just start to get all of the upgrades out. He's in an amazing position right now. He controls the map. Bunny just never gets out of his shell, as you already said, but he still is not in a spot where he can take down the Terran player just yet.
Yeah, True's doing a good job of reacting, though. I mean, the number of Banelings on the field has increased exponentially since he realized that there are just a lot of Marines on the map, so he's adjusting his unit composition accordingly. He's taken his 5th base now. The creep spread, okay, not quite past the middle of the map or anything like that, but is vaguely acceptable, and what we're looking for now is if True can surround the army out in the middle of the map, but he doesn't have the location of it yet as he moves in for the attack.
He's going straight in. There's very little anti-air right now for Bunny. Bunny is getting taken apart here in the back. At the same time, he's attacking the right side of the map, trying to go for one of the bases of his opponent, but he's losing way too much back at home. The Banelings moving straight into the economy, taking down another 20 Harvesters, and the Mutalisks are ravaging that 3rd base, going straight for the missile turrets, taking the anti-air out one by one. Bunny is dropping in supply. He's able to take down the base to the right side, but back at home, there is just nothing that he can throw against this massive army that True has in his base.
Exactly, it's 1 of 5 bases he's taken down, and he's only down to his main base right now, so this is looking like dire straits for Bunny. He's holding on valiantly with the SCVs fighting as well, but this Zerg force is going to be way too large, and I think, Kaldor, we just hit the 100 workers killed mark in this game.
We have, at this point, 109 even taken out, and Bunny only has 9 SCVs left. Still doing as much damage as he can, and army supply is not too bad for him. 83 against 100, but we have also more Zerglings being built. Bunny, of course, knows very well that the base up to the top left is forfeit. He's trying to move away with the structures, flying them away right now. The Banelings hitting home on the other hand, and this Bio force is just not strong enough. Bunny is dropping in supplies, dropping in army, and at this point in time, True is looking extremely good, completing even more upgrades, and all that he has to do is make sure that Bunny's army is not gonna get another kill in, but I feel right now Bunny just doesn't have the numbers.
The attacking force for Bunny is dwindling. It doesn't look like he'll be able to proceed much further. Look, it's a handful of Marines and 2 Thors, guys. Thors are good, but they're not good enough that they can handle this kind of base trade in the next minute or two. The amount of army True still has in Bunny's base is huge. The main base is now no longer functional. Production structures, they're floating in the middle of the map. Bunny has to win with what he's got, and he's 1/3 the supply.
And a big problem is that he only has a few medivacs. He has like 2 and a lot of Marines with this, and the medivacs have no energy whatsoever anymore, except for the 3rd one that just flew in. So he's stimming, he's trying to keep those Marines alive, but they're extremely low on hit points already. It's 23 army supply against 50. Bunny is fighting a desperate battle here, losing the 1st Thor, about to lose the 2nd, and that's not even the entire army of the Zerg player. The GG as True takes game number 1 in the best of 5 series against the last foreigner in the tournament.
I can't see that face with like a mad scientist crazy laughter. I just can't see it. I'd love for it to happen, but I can't picture it in my mind. True playing a very, very good game in game 1. Bunny, I feel like, well, that transition from mech going into bio sort of halfway through that game That can't have been part of the game plan.
What really like ruined the game for him, in my opinion, was this one circling run by. Like he had the Lings rushing into the natural, into the main base. He forgot to lift the depot. Maybe he forgot. Maybe he wasn't fast enough, and that was just an absolute brutal moment. Because up to this point, Bunny was actually looking pretty solid. I mean, he had his bases up. He was going into a third base. True didn't really do any damage. He also scouted that his opponent was going into Mutulus, so he had everything prepared.
Well,
and then
it's the best
suddenly
of
the Lings
five.
rush in.
It's a best of 5, so I think Bunny can take heart from that. I mean, he has plenty of maps left to try and get back ahead in this series and hopefully take himself into the semi-finals. Let's take a look at what they're going to be looking like now. So Dead Pixels True has just picked up a map win on Echo. We're now heading into Inferno Pools, which could lend itself to some very, very aggressive play, Kaldor.
It could definitely, but I'm a bit worried for Bunny. I mean, Analysis was talking about it. I completely agree with them. It's a lot about confidence for Bunny right now. They said he's one of those guys that really wants to prepare for an opponent and that really analyzes his opponent. That Ben even saying that the longer the series goes, the better it is going to be for Bunny. But this is not really a game that he can take a lot of, because it all came down to that circling attack there and this one mistake that did so much damage, put him behind like 20 harvesters.
Yeah.
You know why you lost, but it's not like you can really like take anything from that and saying like, all right, this is the game that I need to play against my opponent. He knows that he can't make a mistake like this and he expects to win, but it's not like it was like this clutch game between the two of them.
Exactly. You're not in a situation after losing those 20 workers where you're saying, oh, I think I'm just about going to win this game. I'm just going to push it over the line. It's not quite like that. You know you're in a disadvantaged position. You know you're more likely than not going to be losing the game, but you can't leave the game just yet in case you are able to capitalize on an opponent's mistake. True just continued piling on the pressure, didn't rush to finish the game in a minute or two. He was very, very calm and collected about it, and he just patiently waited for the transition.
It's actually interesting that Ben talked about the mechanics in general, or Ben and Houston talked about like the mechanics that we have for True, and that was one of the things that I personally found a bit odd. If you look at a player like Jadong with exceptional mechanics, he will, no matter what the situation, no matter like how strong the game goes now, how fast-paced it is, always get a decent creep spread in. True had the entire advantage. He knew that there was no chance for Bunny to move out, but still his creep spread was mediocre at best, and also the vision that he had on the map. So in a game where Bunny does not fall behind, I think Bunny can actually do a lot with that. He can get Hellions maybe into his opponent's mineral lines. He could try and drop his opponent, and he always is in a position where he can sneak those in because vision is limited for True. So that was something where I was a bit surprised that True didn't really try to capitalize more on it. Of course, he didn't make any major mistakes besides that. Kept the pressure up and got his kills in, expanded. But still, this might be something that Bunny in a long game could exploit.
Well, that's also the thing as well when you're going for mech. At the end of the day, you're not getting your medevacs out as soon as you would like because you're starting off with that Banshee. You're trying to pool your army at the front of your base because mech works so much better in a massive ball. Early drops with Marines and Widow Mines in a kind of bio sort of situation becomes a lot more dynamic. And that's kind of the style of play that we normally see Bunny go for against Zergs. He tried to go for the mech this time around. It didn't quite work out for him, but we're now in map number 2, ladies and gents, so let's see if he can pull it back, because spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Inferno Pools as your blue Terran representing TeamLiquid.net. He needs your support now. He's 1-0 down in this best of 5. It's Liquid Bunny.
As opponent here on Inferno Pool, starting to the bottom left of the map with the one only in the best of 5 series at the Gfinity Spring Master. It is True.
Switching up the colors a bit, man.
Yeah. And you just talked about the Banshee that Bunny played in the last game. I actually like that Banshee a lot. He did not go into his cloak, but he still said, alright, I'm starting things off with the command center first here. I have my third on the way, but I'm still using that starport. I'm going to get a bit of pressure in. And, well, True went into Mutulus, and that is, of course, one of those things where you know immediately, well, my Banshee's not going to do too much here. The Mutulus are going to hunt it down. Even if I have cloak, it's not going to really help me. But he got 5 kills with that. I really liked that, and the idea in general was a pretty cool one. So, good opening from him here. In this case now, we're having for him a different opening, though. He's trying to lead with the Reapers that are a bit of a trademark, especially in other matchups. He's utilizing this every single time. And we have his opponent, we have True, going straight into a hatch first into pool again.
Now, I think I like this from Bunny because by going Reapers on this map, it's almost like he's going back to what he's most comfortable with. So I think it's about him getting in his comfort zone now, sort of focusing himself and getting back to what he knows he plays best. Whether or not this transitions into a successful game against True, well, we're about to find out. But I like that Bunny is getting his head into the right place. He's not trying anything drastic. He's not going for proxies or anything like that. And I'm eager to see how much damage this Reaper can get done now.
Yeah, the Reaper is on the way to natural. Of course, like with the positions that we have here, you always have to pass the naturals, and later on with potential air units and drops, you can't head straight into the main base unless you go for a bit of a detour here. With Inferno Pools, the second map, I mean, Bunny, this is one of the maps where he might be more experienced with, where he might get his kill in, because right now he really needs a bit of a victory. If he can kill a drone here, that would of course be amazing. So far we have nice micro by True and the first Zerglings out there. If he could chase those down, that would be just great, but we have immediately the Zerg player reacting with an extractor and also a Spore Crawler that he of course is going to cancel, which just happened. Keeping all of his drones alive, no mistakes by True just yet. And Bunny can be annoying, but he won't be able to do any significant damage.
Yep, forcing another set of Lings out now, and it looks like Tim the Reaper is going to be joined by Bob here, so both of them going to try and wail away at these workers. Great reactions, actually, to save that one there. Almost on low life, and it looks like one of those Reapers is going to go down. A very, very nice cornering in there by the Queen.
Yeah, and that's not really what Bunny wants here. He has not only, you know, like he has in total 3 Reapers now, and if you go for 3 Reapers, that's quite the investment.
That's
you
great.
Invest a lot of gas into that. Losing one this early is a big, big blow to Bunny, especially since he didn't do any damage with those. If you have a single Reaper and you get a drone kill, you call yourself lucky. So like, alright, this was great. If you get for a second one and even a third one, you kind of need to do some damage. He's trying to do that again, and finally he gets one of the drones. It was important, but he needs to get more than that to really get a good trade out of this.
Yeah, this is really tricky for Bunny. I mean, like you said, the difference between 2 and 3 Reapers is huge. Being able to 2-shot those workers, and it forces the reaction time to be perfect every single time. And an SCV is going to go down in kind now for Bunny, as well as a couple of Lings are going to be poking around at the natural expansion. Again, on the low ground there, a little bit of a frustrating situation. And, well, let's see what he's going to do. Is he going to lift it straight up?
He just lost all of his Reapers, by the way, as we just saw. So it's not only the SCV, he lost 3 Reapers and an SCV, and the only thing that he killed with this is a drone. And that is, this is not a good start for Bunny at all. Those fast Lings that we have here for True, they are amazing. They forced him to lift the command center, they forced an SCV down. This aggression that we saw, which is exactly what the Muslim mentioned earlier in the analysis test, is just absolutely amazing for True now and puts Bunny in a very awkward spot.
Is this, Kaldor, is this Bunny potentially tilting? Is this him going back into what he plays best, but then maybe overextending and getting too aggressive with the Reapers before he can pull them? Should we be reading into this like that? Or is it just a case of actually True has just been really, really sick in his defense and Bunny's been completely fine?
I don't think that Bunny is tilting here. He doesn't seem like the type for it. If you talk to him, he's usually very calm, collected. He's very analytical in how he approaches the matchup and how he analyzes his own play. Reminiscent of like how Snood actually does that. So I think in this case, it's just like it didn't go well for him, but I wouldn't put it down to him tilting because of map number 1 or anything like that.
Okay, well, we've got another band of Zerglings here going to try and maybe make their way into the natural for another sneak attack, but he's going to have to be watching out for those, of course, especially after the Zergling run by in Game 1. And, well, a couple of Hellions not going to get much done, but the Banshee is eyeing up the base, so let's see how much can get done there.
Queens are produced again, so by now he's on 3 Queens probably, and with that, like, he should be able to defend 4 Queens even. So with that, he can now easily defend against the Banshee that once again does not have Cloak, so it should not be a problem. And the funny thing is that True doesn't even throw down Spore Crawlers. So he doesn't have anything here. He has, of course, with the lair tech already an option to go straight for Overseers. Sees everything here now, and as we can, thank you to the observer pointing that out, we have our Overlord great vision of the starport, so he sees that there is no Cloak being researched, that he doesn't have to be afraid of this. Therefore, no Spore Crawlers for him. Also on lair tech, so even if there was Cloak, he could go into Overlords or Overseers to make up for that.
The Spire now nearly done, and like you mentioned, it's just really, really good scouting from True. But I feel like his game plan at the moment has just been, if Bunny is interested in harassing, completely shut it down. And he's been able to do it so many times. He's done it with the Reapers, he did it with the Hellions, he's now done it with the Banshee as well. Bunny's going to come in once again and try and get a bit of damage done here. But really, everything Bunny has thrown at True has just defensively parried it away. He's played an excellent game here.
Yeah, True is playing a great game indeed. I mean, once again, a bit of harass in the main base. This time he gets a fair amount of Harvesters. He takes 3 out and saves the Banshee for now. But Mutalists are, of course, going to join the fun very soon. 1-1 upgrades on the way. There's a good amount of Lings also. And if he can just kill those Hellions, that would be great. He's already trying to get into the base again. And he does. There he is, taking down the first few Hellions, chasing the rest of them. There are only 2 left now, and the Zerglings rushing straight into the mineral line as well. The Marines coming out of the bunker, and that is the saving grace, at least for now. Bunny deflecting this attack, losing 5 of his SCVs in the process. 6 now, but at this time it was much better than what we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, that was actually really good defense from Bunny. Those 6 workers that he lost, the majority of them were to the 2 or 3 Zerglings that were kind of hanging around in the mineral line while the rest of the army was engaging. All we did was we moved the SCVs towards the bunker, kept the last 2 Hellions alive, good lift up of the depots in the main base, and I thought he damage controlled that really well.
Yeah, it would have been much better for him if he could have actually like prevented them from moving in the first place. He lost a lot of Hellions because of that, so if he's a bit faster and sees that, puts them into the gap, then he can maybe kill the Zerglings without even losing the Hellions or this many Harvesters. But it's definitely much better than it was in the last one, so the damage control there was okay, but now of course this was only the first step. This is now True really moving in with his Mutalisk, and the Marines, I mean, they have to stim already. There's very little in terms of anti-air. You can see that there's basically like no missile turret just yet that really helps him. He's starting to build the first few, but 7 Harvesters have been eliminated already. True is using those Mutalisks just beautifully, just going in, taking down every single SCV that he can get his hands on, and besides that, he has a 3rd base set up. True is looking once again very strong here.
The missile turret now up in the main base, and one thing I really want to highlight is that a lot of Zerg players, you go in with your first 6 or 7 Mutalisks, right? As soon as you see the bunch of Marines, you sort of pull back, you want to make sure you have more numbers. True was very aggressive. He stayed in, he was looking for those individual Marines that were coming out from the barracks, doing a really good job of spotting that opportunity. I think he lost maybe 1 Mutalisk in the process, but he killed so many SCVs and Marines combined there that it was just really worth it for him. And I think he kept the aggression up in a position where a lot of Zergs might have been a bit more conservative.
Bunny is now just trying to stabilize on his 3 bases, setting up a very stable position. He's by no means out of this game, so we see him with upgrades going into 2-2. It's very smart of True to try and limit his income here in gas. That's a great job by him, and he kills another 4 Harvesters. So he's just overall playing very solid here, but he's still 3 bases against 3 bases. He's expanding again, and True has a bit of a lead in overall economy and also, of course, in overall supply. But Bunny is still fine here. He might be a bit behind, but he's still in a position where he can definitely just move back in the game and take it.
The creep spread in this game is also starting to get a little bit better for True as well. It looks like he's playing a counterattack against the 3rd base. A lot of Lings and Bendings. Oh, excellent Widow Mine! He was watching Hearts games yesterday. The Troll Widow Mine's doing an excellent number on those Mutas, and he's going to have to wait a bit for that. Here comes the attack into the 3rd base. A lot of Banelings. He's not going to need them to take down the bunker, though. The Lings will be able to do that job themselves. Some bio coming in. Needs to be careful. Great splits from Bunny. And now, I don't think he killed too many workers. Only 2 there. So how is Bunny's counterattack potentially going to be fitting into
He's already in the main base of his opponent with the drop. He's right there, dropping in and trying to take a few of the Harvesters out himself.
Oops.
Didn't get the chance, and the Medivac gets sniped. But I really liked this defense. That was amazing. And the Mutalisks, like, they didn't see that coming. 2 shots straight to the face, and a lot of the Mutalisks down. And of course, the rest of them very low in health. So great defense by Bunny there. And if he keeps that up, then True is going to be in trouble, even though the game itself started very well for the Zerg player.
Heart started a trend, man. The troll mines are going to become a thing. Really good shots. A couple more against those Mutalisks wouldn't go amiss. Unfortunately, not quite killing them off there. A lot of them in the red, though. And look at that. Look how quickly they're healing up here as well as True comes in for round number... Ooh, dear. Well, a couple more of those and he would be in trouble. But he's going to town on this missile turret. Is he going to be able to get it down? So many SCVs around it repairing. Just does it. And now Bunny is scrambling to get Marines back. But look at this, Kaldor. Once again, 2 or 3 Marines showing up at a time. The Mutas aren't in any real danger.
Yeah, not really. And they can easily just like fight this. And that's exactly what they do. Taking out the anti-air. 16 Harvesters down, 70. Usually, what really the missile turret does, if you have only one, it at least buys you time to get some anti-air units into position, but that didn't really happen. Bunny a bit slow with that. Apparently didn't have anything around that could help him out there, so he had to send them over from the 3rd base, and he lost another 18 Harvesters. In both of these games so far, True just like takes down the economy of his opponent. Like 36 workers killed in this game already. He's doing an amazing job with that.
Yeah,
but Bunny has had it. Like, he's moving out on the map now, at least pushing the creep back for now. He's saying, I can't just sit there and take it the entire time like a sandbag. I need to finally do something and at least move out on the map and try to claim that.
I don't think he can do that, though, at the moment. Even off creep, I think True's going to find this okay with the Banelings here. Bunny is going to have to spend more time microing back than he is attacking at the moment. Excellent Widow Mine hits on so many of the Banelings, but look at the army that's left. Bunny has maybe 10-15 Marines right now, and they're still fighting against 5 or 6 Banelings. Even if Bunny wins this fight, and don't forget he hasn't dealt with the Mutalisks yet, good drop by the way on the left-hand side, he can't counter-push to win the game. He has to hole up.
I don't know. Bunny is doing actually okay. I mean, he's good. He's the entire fight, and also now he's up in army supply by 30.
Wait, where's the where are the Thors? The Thors are going to be the key here. If he's able to hold off the Mutas with those, then I'm just going to be standing corrected here. He's moving on to creep. Oh, and here we go. We've got Hellbats in the mix now as well.
He has enough Marines too. As long as he keeps away from those Banelings, he's doing fine. And he did very well in the last fight with the splits and with the Widowmine positioning.
Where
so
are
that
the
fight was
Banelings?
actually pretty decent. Banelings are being
Okay,
morphed in right now
really
over at the
far
top
away.
left. They're far away, and he's already doing damage. So Bunny, with that aggression, is actually doing a fair amount of work. We are having the Thor snipe, but the Muralists are fighting against Marines right now. You never want to see that happen. Finally, the Banelings moving in, and that's the time when he needs to be careful. But in terms of army supply, Bunny's still alright here. 75 against 58.
Well, the reinforcements are now cut off because the Banelings managed to come down sort of in the middle of where the army was, so Bunny's not going to be able to take down any more bases here. He's at 112 to 133 supply right now, but the long-term implications of the earlier attacks from True, I think Bunny might end up being in a do-or-die position soon because he's still almost half the workers of True right now. You can't continue like this for a long period of time.
No, so far, the mules help him out, and that's also one of the reasons why we see still the creep spread being that good for True, because Bunny had to use mules to make up for the harvesters that he lost. That meant he has less energy on the command centers to really drop scans, and he's starting to do that now again since he's starting to replenish that harvester count. But that was something that he would have loved to do like 2 or 3 minutes ago, just getting rid of the creep spread. That could have enabled him also to just stay longer, because what you want to do is you always want to fight the Banelings off creep. On creep,
absolutely.
These guys are just brutal.
Yeah, it's like you're splitting at the same speed the Banelings are coming in, essentially, and you need every little bit of advantage you could possibly get. Bunny's micro is excellent, by the way, but of course, if you have that kind of advantage against a player of True's caliber, you take it 10 times out of 10. A couple of opportunistic Widowmines not quite able to do the business here, but look at how many Banelings are just rolling in, and they're going to be moving behind the mineral line by the looks of things to clean up more workers. Yes, indeed, 14 killed and counting. Another massive engagement on creep this time. And more Banelings rolling in. Even with the splits, the Mutas might be able to clean this up if Bunny's not careful. The Medivacs, he needs to protect them.
Yeah, he needs to have to burn away with them. But he has another force to the left side of the map where he's doing massive damage and takes out one of the bases. Only 6 harvesters lost for his opponent. Bunny is down to 32 workers now. He lost another 17. He needs to keep those command centers alive. He's already in an awkward position. His economy is definitely struggling. He needs to get the harvester count back, and his mineral count is extremely low. But True has also not been able to build up a bank, and True is still on roughly the same level of supply here. So Bunny, if he would just be able to just secure his economy, like especially in the early game, and not lose this many harvesters to the constant harassment of True, he would be in an amazing spot since he's still doing quite well. But of course, True is taking an advantage and is getting farther and farther ahead in the game because of it.
The problem is, this is basically turning into a bit of a slugfest right now where both sides are constantly fueling the aggression, and Bunny's trying to fuel this aggression on half the number of workers of True. Mules or not, you can't do that in the long run, and GG, True is going to move into a 2-0 lead. A valiant effort and some fantastic aggression coming out from Bunny there, but he just didn't have the economy to back it up in the long game.
I really like Bunny's control in the fights. I think in the fights itself he's doing much better than True. His splits are great. He's always putting Widow Mines in good positions and just forcing those Banelings into it. The counter drop was good at the left side. Unfortunately, with the first one, he didn't get the base, but he took care of that then later on. And I really like the way that he's engaging into these battles. The problem that he has is just securing his own economy and keeping those harvesters alive. He lost once again more than 50 harvesters in the last game, and especially the first few attacks that True was running, he did so much damage to the economy that Bunny just was always on the back foot and always just a tiny step behind, and that adds up over time. If Bunny can just like make sure that he doesn't lose those at the beginning of the game, I feel that True is in trouble, but Bunny has to really take care of that.
It's a tricky situation. I like the shift in Bunny's mentality from Game 1 to Game 2. In Game 1, he basically sat back. I'm not sure if he panicked into that transition, but I can tell you that mech to bio sort of timing of the switch definitely wasn't part of the cards. He was desperately trying to keep a hold of his economy, let the Ling run by through, and it kind of snowballed from there. Game 2, I like the fact that he tried to counter the aggression with aggression of his own. He lost a lot of workers. He had the counter drops going for him. He had those 6 splits like you were talking about as well, and he was doing a good job but I feel like he could only have done it for 2 or 3 waves with the reinforcements without the income behind it. And as long as True can just hold on, he'd win the long game off of that, which is why Bunny need to hit hard. But I like where his head's at, because he's going into it, he's not just turtling up.
Well, it's also, we talked in the first game about the creep spread of True lacking, and in the second game it was a lot better. What you want to do as a Terran player is when you attack, you drop the scans, you take the creep tumors out, and by the time that you have to retreat, the creep is usually in a position where you can just micro away from the banelings, you can start to take the last ones out. And Bunny couldn't really do that. Since he lost so many harvesters, he had to drop mules, he had to use the energy to keep his income up so that he could keep producing marines. And then when he tried to move back, he was still on creep, and the banelings that were chasing him took out a lot more than they would have been able to in a different situation. If he gets that creep spread away, and that comes back to the same issue again, if he keeps the harvesters alive, he's going to have a much better position because he can drop the scans, he can take the creep away. Suddenly, True might find himself in a position where he has to move off creep with his banelings or simply stop chasing. And then Bunny, again, with a nice micro that he has, can take down the army. So really he needs to solidify his position more. Even that one missile turret that he had that he tried to protect that got sniped by the Mutalisk, and then it resulted in another 18 harvesters taken out. There has to be either a second missile turret or unit somewhere near there where they can really help. And his Baneling hits were great. The Widowmine hits were great once again. So just these positions that are very exposed to a Zerg player that goes into Mutalisks, the base that is closest to your opponent, there needs to be a bit more for Bunny.
It's a little bit, I don't know, the Widowmine hits were fantastic, but by that point it really was a little too late. But he's going to have opportunities to try and get back in, but it really is crunch time now. Map 3 is going to be on Iron Fortress, and we've had dead pixels, True, clean sweep the first 2 maps from Bunny right now. Iron Fortress, I mean, just the way the map is laid out potentially gives a lot of credence to maybe dropping in a bit more harassment play, but like you say, Bunny's aggression isn't necessarily the issue here because he kept True on his toes all game last time. The real problem is preventing True with those Ling run bys from killing off his SCVs early on. So on this map, we'll see if he's able to do a better job. What do you reckon?
I really hope so. It's not going to be easy for him. Iron Fortress is once again one of those bigger maps, and I mean, I was joking with Rotterdam yesterday for quite a bit. There's a Zerg symbol in the middle of the map for a reason.
That's true, yeah.
So it's not going to be easy for him. If he can make a comeback here, that would be great. I like the drop play that we saw in the last game, that he was going for that multitasking. We've been talking about Solar mentioning that he really is afraid of Bunny's mech and says, like, this is one of the things that he doesn't want to encounter. But Bunny is pretty good with Bio, as we saw in the last game. I mean, that multitasking, having a drop in the main base, another one over there to the top left, and on a big map, the farther the Zerg player spreads himself out, those satellite bases are going to be vulnerable. It's one of the things that he could do. I mean, it's the last map for Bunny. He needs to win that right now. If he takes it, I feel he can make a comeback in the series. But
well, he hasn't got a choice, right?
He has no choice, exactly. Yeah. But if he takes it, I can see him winning the series. But right now, it's going to be extremely difficult for him. I don't think the fights are the problem. I really think it's just like playing safe at the beginning, where he's currently struggles.
He looks pretty chilled out in the booth at the moment, like you say. Very much the analyst when it comes to his own games and checking out the matchup. And the key, like you mentioned, is probably going to be something along the lines of making sure he has his harassment working while denying the harassment of True. Last game, we saw a lot of the drops, really, really good drop play coming out from Bunny, but I did feel like that was in a little bit reaction to the kind of poking and prodding that True was doing. I'd like to see Bunny being the initiator on that. I want to see him dropping True aggressively before True gets in and kills a bunch of workers, for example. If he can be a little bit more proactive with that, maybe he can stop some of True's forces from moving out against him in the first place.
Bunny's style in general is oftentimes to just either hit a very good timing or to play a bit laid back, and then later when he has a strong army to move out. When Starcraft first moved to Europe, that was actually one of the things where we had this amazing best of 5 between the two of them, where Bunny just got pummeled in the ground on the first 2 maps, and it looked like an easy 3-0 victory for Starcraft. And then Bunny just like stood there, took one attack after another, defended well, and from that built up a point of strength and moved out and really just turned the entire season around. It was amazing. I really hope that he's able to do something like this in this game now as well, because his opponent, starting to the top right, is certainly doing very well in this series with a 2-0 lead in the best of 5, just 1 map away from advancing to the semi-final. We are seeing our Zerg player here at the Gfinity Spring Masters. It is True.
His opponent spawns in the bottom left-hand position of Iron Fortress and needs now to win 3 games in a row to reach the semi-finals. Game 2 was a marked improvement on Game 1, but not enough for him to take the map. He now needs to take map after map if he wants to retain his space in this tournament. Representing Team Liquid.net, the fan favorite, it's Bunny.
Bunny played a great tournament so far against Protoss players. It was very nice to see him play against some C there, and I would love for him to advance, but of course, like, being down 2 maps is very, very frustrating here. We have cross position, so a huge distance between the 2 players now, and I am very curious to see how exactly Bunny is going to approach map number 3.
This is hopefully, once he sees his cross positions, might make him feel a little bit safer. So there's no going to be very, very early aggression necessarily. He's going to be able to see that his opponent will take a little bit longer to get to his base. He's even putting the command center down. There we go, on the low ground here. So he's feeling like he might be able to get into more of a macro game perhaps, or he can use that earlier economic boost to do what we were talking about. Maybe we'll see some earlier drops. Maybe we'll get to see a bit of aggression in the early game from both sides against True here.
I like the command center first attempt. It's a big map, and he already had a very good position when he used it for the first time, up to the point where he just missed the lift on the depot and lost too many units there. True, on the other hand, is sticking true to his guns, going straight for the hatch first again, going into gas and pool after that. The earlier speed links that he had in the last game also helped him out very well against the Reapers that we saw for Bunny. And there was another point in the last game that Bunny didn't really do too much damage with the Reaper. The problem for him also was that he couldn't keep them alive. And usually when you go into triple Reaper, you want to, first of all, you want to do damage, and Bunny didn't accomplish that. The second thing is, though, you need to keep these bad boys alive, because once you have the Hellions with you, Reapers and Hellions can really start to not only push back the creep of your opponent, you might get a lucky snipe against the Queen, you could go into one of those bases, but you have map control that you establish.
It gives you more options as well.
It gives you options, it establishes map control for you, and that is something that he completely lost in the last game when True was sending a fair bunch of circlings, cross-map, took down the Reapers, and then put on the pressure against the Hellions, even snuck into the base again.
It means that if you actually do well with that, or if you see your opponent responding to it particularly aggressively, you very often, with these Reaper Hellion openings, see that, hang on a second, I'm doing really well here. The armory gets put down, and you then try and go into an even more aggressive kind of mid-game to try and close it all out. All of these things are possible, but step one, like you said, Calder, it really is about keeping those units alive in the first place. And True, once again now, being very, very vigilant against any potential Reaper play from Bunny, making sure those Zerglings are in place to prevent that access point. But of course, Bunny, in this particular game, isn't going to be going for that again.
Yeah, the anti-Reaper squad is dancing on the high ground. I kind of like that. Bunny, at the same time, is adding his factory right now. We're having him, of course, also with the 2 bases, and he's starting to saturate that. A lot of scouting going on, especially from True. He has overlords coming in from the top left and the bottom right, just trying to get into position. Of course, by now he knows, thanks to the process of elimination, where exactly Bunny spawns, but he doesn't really have any vision of what's going on, which is one of the reasons why we see a Zergling heading over there right away to check out that expansion and look how Bunny set up his defense here.
Another command center just going down for Bunny, so playing it very, very economical here in game number 3. And, you know, if he's allowed to get this up and he's allowed to get mining from it, then True could be in a difficult situation. But the third base potentially is just quite difficult to defend on this map. It's just very, very far by ground from the natural. And you can see True already has units in place here to double check what's going to happen when Bunny floats that across.
One of the big problems that you have with that third base is just that the distance between your natural and your third is
it's gigantic.
Crazy. It's crazy. So you have to somehow defend that, and we won't see Bunny use that third CC for quite some time. He will use it to get SCVs out on the map for the mules as well, and to build up the energy, but he's not going to send that out and put it down. It would just be too early in the game, and he won't be able to defend it if he does.
But don't forget, of course, it works both ways as well. True, he will have to grab that third base, and it will be very, very difficult for him to be in a situation where he can comfortably defend it against Harass compared to a lot of the other maps we have in the map pool. So this is a good chance for Bunny to maybe be a little bit more aggressive and take the game to True a little bit more.
True, mixing things up a bit. Instead of going for that fast Spire that we saw in the last few games, he not only adds an immediate Roach Warren, but he goes into the double upgrades too. So we have him now with a completed lair tech, the Roach Warren nearly done. He can head straight into the Roach speed. And that could actually turn out to be a very, very aggressive move with Roaches here for him. He has 43 Harvesters. And it's going to be interesting to see. That's the first 4. Let's see how many roaches he builds, because that's a fair amount already. With that, he can really start poking.
So I just want to highlight something that True did, by the way. He started the 1-1, he started the roaches coming in, but he still had the one drone that was positioned around the third base that the Hellions killed, by the way. And Bunny thinks True is trying to take a third right now. And whether or not that was a dummy or not, it's been sold into Bunny, and Bunny has no idea that this many roaches are being created behind it. So let's see if True can potentially use the element of surprise here a little bit to see if he can't get a good sneak attack in on our Team Liquid player.
This is not good for Bunny at all. Bunny right now has no idea what's going on there, and we have not only, well, he even goes into burrow. We're having also more overlords just built a few seconds ago, so he has a really lot of free supply that he can use there. And the roach count is just being increased. With the 1-1, he can really start hitting a timing there, and that's exactly what he's going for. Bunny has right now no clue, and drones, there's still a few drones tickling in every now and then for True, but the main production is really the roaches.
And this is really, really cool from True. As far as Bunny is concerned, he's been denying a third base, and actually, True is preparing to absolutely sucker punch Bunny and try and take the series 3-0 right now. The roaches are even going off via the side of the map here to try and sneak in. I'm really worried about this attack. But Bunny's got Stim done now, Kaldor. He does have the firepower and the DPS there.
He does have that, and also True is, I mean, he's not going completely on 2 bases. He adds the third base regardless. What I like is that he also adds the additional upgrades now for the +2. But with all of that and him also going for the third, you see that he doesn't really say, okay, I'm going to like kill him with now. It's not do or die for him. He falls back onto the third base. He's also getting the tunneling claws, which I really like. But the sneaky move towards the right side of the map, I really like that a lot. So this is a smart move by True, mixing things up. Army supply is pretty much the same though, but True is also adding additional drones now. So this is not an all-in, but it's still, of course, a very aggressive move by him.
Yeah, this is going to take Bunny by surprise indeed. A couple of SCVs going down. Good immediate lift on the orbital command. Minimizes damage there. And the roaches are now popping in once again. Ooh, needs to be careful with those SCVs. They were en route back, but will now be pulled back. And Bunny's going to be defending at the bunker.
Yeah, Bunny has to defend now. He can't utilize that third base. Do we have something spreading creep or burrow at the third? I don't even know, but he has the burrow upgrade, so he should do that. We have one over here. Yes, he burrowed one of the roaches. Okay, I like that a lot. Utilizing that burrow upgrade, and let's not forget, he is going to have tunneling claws in just a few seconds that he can use them.
The armory now completing for Bunny. He's going to be able to add to the longevity of this army here by using those Hellbats as and when necessary. Loading up a couple of drops in the meantime. Ooh, and a roach just... No, okay, he will get seen by this incoming roach as well. So True knows that Bunny is trying to spread him a little bit thin here, and this could trigger another attack. The third base still is up in the air, so True denying a lot of mining here.
I actually like what True does. I mean, I've been talking about this. We've seen him with roaches. He tried to go for aggression, but he realized very soon that Bunny has the 1-1 ready and that he has enough units to defend against this. He did not go all in, as we mentioned. He started the third base behind it, droned up again, and also even before he moved out, went straight into the +2/+2. And that leaves him with a very nice position here. He has a good force out on the map that can really start poking and has also good control on what's going on. Needs to defend the main base against this, of course, but he's already starting to go straight into the hive tech, and I like this. But still, he needs to defend. Bunny needs to scan then. He needs to scan right now to reveal the drones and take those out. And it seems that he does not have the energy.
No, I think his attention might have been elsewhere, and he might have just been using those energy for the mules as well. Really, really good drop, though, inside the main base. The army, for True, is all out in no man's land. And don't forget, there's a second drop coming in very, very soon to the third base as well. True continuing to counter aggression on the other side of the map. He's pushing into the natural. The siege tanks are doing work, but the buffer of Marines in front of them is getting smaller and smaller, and this is going to be a victory in this battle for the Zerg anyway, as True moves in. Does Bunny have another layer of defense where he can try and stop this? Well, there's one tank on the high ground, but there are still so many roaches.
This is getting really iffy. Bunny is doing a lot of damage with the drops, but the attack at the bottom left is nothing to joke about. He's losing a lot of harvesters. His army is considerably... it's actually dwindling down, but with the reinforcements that came in, he's suddenly taking the army's supply.
The third base has now gone down for True as well, so that second drop doing a really, really good job for Bunny. His third is still floating, but despite the workers lost from both sides, Bunny trailing 39 to 47 with mules. That's actually okay.
True did not mine from his main base for a long, long time. Even after the Marines cleared out, he did not unburrow those drones. So he didn't mine for ages, and this is one of the reasons why he's starting to fall a bit behind here. And if Bunny keeps the pressure up, he's going to be more than fine here. He's in a decent position, actually. We're having him not with the same tech. I mean, there's Hive, there's Hydras, the +3 attack. But as long as he gets a couple of siege tanks out against this Roach Hydra combination and secures himself this third base, he would be in an amazing spot. True, on the other hand, is of course going to try to at least harass the third a bit more.
And True may be guilty of overcommitting a little bit to the aggression he was trying to go for in the third base, because at the end of the day, notice how when he burrowed the drones, Caldo, there was just nothing left to defend for quite a while. He had to rely on Bunny not scanning, and True was actually a little bit lucky that Bunny didn't use a scan there, because that would have been 20 workers down the drain. So his army was just so out of position to deal with that, and I think losing the third base as well off the back of it puts True in a very difficult position now.
Yeah, losing the third base is definitely a massive blow to his economy, and at the same time, with the tech that he still has at least the upgrades that he needs for that, with the +3 attack upgrade now coming in, and also the Hydra list, of course. It's all only a matter of how exactly Bunny is going to play it right now. If his drops are staying alive, if he can keep that Medivac alive, then he can do a lot of damage in the main base at the natural again, and also back at home with additional siege tanks. He should be safe against any kind of counter aggression by the third play.
Yeah, he just needs to make sure that that siege tank positioning is good. As a drop here, just about able to move out there. He also wants to make sure that he doesn't get caught up by burrow as well. Siege tanks out in the middle of the map with burrowed roaches around, you want to make sure you have a very, very sharp eye out so that they don't sneakily move behind them and manage to snipe them off. But Bunny at the moment, very stable on 160 supply. +3 and +3 is on the way now for our Terran player. A little bit faster for True, but that's only the attack upgrade.
I really like Bunny's position here. For the first time in the series, he's really starting to be ahead in overall supply. And the problem that you always have with Roach Hydra is actually two problems. First of all, you are very vulnerable against drop play in general. If you're playing Ling, Muta, Baneling, then you have the Mutalist to deal with the Medivacs, and it's very difficult for the Terran player to get those in position. You always expect Overlords and Creep Spread to be on the map. Creep Spread, by the way, this time, very, very good for
much
True.
better, especially in Game 1.
The thing is that he is very vulnerable to drops because of his composition. And also, it's a composition that doesn't really work that well for you in the late game. You need to have, then of course, also a few Vipers out there, which he already has, that can help you, but it's still pretty difficult. Nice attempt to actually save the Medivac, but he doesn't get that off. I love that Bunny is getting more of his siege tanks. He's getting +3/+3. His upgrades are decent as well. And with that, he's finding himself in a very solid position in this third game.
You know, I think you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about the composition there. True, going into that Roach Hydra, well, that's fine if the Terran isn't already in a place where you have that bio and the tank support for it as well. It just does so much splash damage to such a clumped up army that True does have to transition out of it. He has slightly better upgrades, but the composition means it doesn't matter. And, ooh, a little bit sloppy there, actually, losing the hatchery without cancelling over there. Got some applause from the crowd as well. Bunny supporters definitely in the house today, and both sides are now maxed out. Bunny moving out across the map.
And Bunny is at this point on 3 bases with another command center on the way, so he has a massive army with 146 army supply, and there's no Banelings or anything, it's just Roach Hydra, that's all there is, and 2 Vipers that can help you with the Blinding Cloud. But True is not really in a good spot here. He's actually like he's in dire straits right now. This is not I don't see him winning this fight at all.
That was the most expensive Roach in history, getting out of 2 scans there. It looks like the fight is about to happen. The tank's a little bit late being sieged up, and the Roaches on the bottom might be able to get some good pot shots off. And here we go. Massive Blinding Clouds on a lot of the bio. Excellent work there from True at the start of this engagement. The Concave is better for the Zerg as well. Look at how many Medivacs there are. More and more Blinding Clouds going down as the bio continues to get pushed back. Great DPS from Bunny, but the Concave from True is huge. And Bunny, after losing those tanks at the start of the fight, the Blinding Clouds were just too good. And now True is the person with the big supply lead.
I think that position for Bunny to take a fight was not good at all. In a straight, like on a different terrain, I think he would have crushed the force of the Zerg player like any time. He had better upgrades. He had a great composition there, the better army in general, and he fights in a position where the Blinding Clouds can hit nearly the entire army, and the second he moves back, he exposes every single tank that he has at the side. The tanks were not behind the army, they were rather to the side, and the Blinding Clouds, there were only 2 Vipers, but the Blinding Clouds that he got off, which is so good because the position where Bunny took that fight was really not good.
Exactly. The shots from the tanks were excellent, but they were excellent for all of about 2.5 seconds before the Blinding Clouds covered everything. And now True on the counter-attack. Bunny's trying to move in aggressively with this bio. Another great couple of Blinding Clouds, but this time the tank is still attacking More blinding clouds coming down, and I think these numbers are starting to overwhelm the Terran a little bit.
Yeah.
SCV's having to be pulled back, the orbital command going down as well. And Bunny, at the moment, I think he has like more medevacs than he does Marines right now. Not a good position to be in.
Not at all. True is carrying the momentum from the last victory into that battle now and is overwhelming Bunny completely. Bunny in that last fight lost way too much, and that gave True so much momentum that he's just carrying that cross map. If Bunny sets that last fight up in a better position and really fights the Zerg player in a position where he can't just like get the perfect blinding clouds off or can just move back without exposing everything else, I feel he's going to be great. But he fought under those blinding clouds way too long, and True wins that game. Like, that was not really what I expected after Bunny is starting into this match.
That was massive, and True, okay, the third game was a lot more labored than before, but he wins the match by a scoreline of 3-0 over Liquid Bunny right now. The Bunny offering the handshake, but obviously very despondent there, not wanting to go out. No, definitely not at all. And like you said, the momentum after that last fight really carried True through there. But Bunny gave it everything he had, and unfortunately the Blinding Clouds and the Vipers were exactly what True needed to incorporate into his army composition to win the long game, and he adapted fast.
The last game, I'm really a bit disappointed. I thought Bunny had that. I really thought he was in a great position there. He defended the early aggression. He had his third base up. He had all the upgrades out. He was on 3-3, and that's usually where Bunny is like the strongest. He moved out, had a good composition there. You can argue if you should have had a few Vikings in there too to put pressure on the Vipers, but there were only two of them. And I feel if he dodges those two Blinding Clouds, moves back from them, and fights with the army that he has a really good shot at this. I'm personally very, very interested in what especially the Muslim has to say about that, because I felt like Bunny had that. He had good supply, good army, good upgrades.
It almost looked like it came down to a question of timing, because the tanks were in siege at the very beginning of that engagement. Oh, hello, it's gone a bit dark in here. And at the end of the day...
We're not looking that bad today.
Yeah, it's all right, guys. It's okay.
We get the idea of it like still.
Yeah, our faces are that shiny right now. No, it's... I feel
have
like
to go back to makeup. Apparently, I need some work done.
The tanks were in siege. It felt like if Bunny had another 10 seconds to get ready for that engagement, I'm not saying he would have overwhelmingly won it, but it certainly would have happened very differently. The Blinding Clouds were great. The tanks started getting some shots off, but a little bit too late for their liking. And it just means that... I don't know. I wonder if that was just the tipping point of the game, or if there's something else we need to be looking at as well. And for that, of course, we have the analyst test. So guys, take us through what happened in that game, in that series.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. We lost the great foreign hope. The dream is dead. Yeah. Disappointing. I haven't seen anyone die that quickly since Banks tried to do an interview with the mic off. But talk me through it, because I'm a little bit shell shocked. I mean, you know, they were a long, grueling series, but in the end, you know, True was just a cut above.
I mean, if we start from the start, first game, True managed to do quite a bit of damage with the Lings early on, and then you did quite a lot of Mutalisk damage, a lot of Roach damage. Like, he just kept pummeling Bunny right from the start. Bunny lost a lot of his economy, couldn't really get into the game. Going through the series, the same thing seemed to be happening. True just seemed on top of Bunny the whole time, and he seemed a little lost, actually, Bunny did. Even in that last fight, you were pointing out that he kept on sieging his tanks and re-sieging them and such.
Yeah, I'll get to the final fight later. In the first game, it felt like Bunny was playing well. Like, just 2-3 small mistakes. Actually, only the Lynx at the start. That was probably the thing what went wrong. Because after that, the Roaches barely managed to get through. I think if the Lynx don't kill 10, 15 SCVs at the start.
We've got the end of the game 1 replay here, so...
Yeah, that was really sick.
Yeah, this is where Bunny's already dead, but he doesn't really know how good a position True's in at this point. He's still thinking, oh, maybe he only has 70 supply-ish left, and like the last units from my base, maybe I can still win. But really good micro by Bunny regardless. You can see that, well, before you could see that he was just microing his little heart out, but he thinks it's just this amount of units left. But as we can tell from the supply, yeah, he's got a hell of a lot more. So it's a sad loss because it all escalated right from the start. He played well. It was just one mistake, letting those Lings do a bit too much damage, and then he was a few steps behind from that point on, and it just spiraled out of control. Really.
Again, just snowballs from that point on. The Roach did too much damage, Mulas do too much damage, and you kind of get forced into this all-in position where you don't have enough SCVs. And on the second map, we see, once again, True being very aggressive from the get-go, killing all the Reapers at the start, making the command center live before the Mule got roped, which isn't something you really want. And it felt like that Bunny just had those small errors at the start, But once it got into the later game, he did pretty well. Like we saw in the third game, for example, he was outplaying True. It felt like he cancelled the third base with a drop after he held the initial 1-1 roach pressure, and he was in a very good shape. But in the end, the one mistake in the fight where he sieged and then unsieged again, and then there was blinding clouds on top of the tanks, and didn't really help anymore.
And this is the kind of the middle part of game 3, which Caldor, he said he felt Bunny was in this one. He could have maybe had this game.
I totally agree with Caldor here. We have True actually setting up for an attack of his own. He's getting his economy absolutely ravaged here. So lots of drones died, lots of overlords died. And he's kind of just saying, okay, you do damage to me, I'll do damage to you. Throws in a big army here. And despite tanks being sieged up and such, and despite half his roaches being over on the third base there, once he gets his whole army together, just overwhelms Bunny. Bunny does a really good job of dropping 2 bases simultaneously, but takes a lot of damage here. And in fact, I actually felt that Bunny was ahead after this situation happened, given how much economic damage he did at home. But and the lack of mining that's going on right now. The third base isn't mining for True, neither is the main. And Bunny eventually holds, which is a huge, huge deal with Bio and Marine Tank. And you even see that Bunny's ahead in supply here. So it was just really good engagements from True. And Harstam even asked me, he's like, is Roach Hydra Viper good against Bio? And I was like, yeah, if you get some good blinding clouds. And that's exactly what happened. He played really well.
Well, from blinding clouds to a blinding performance, we're going to go over to Banks now. We've told him, check your mic. He's going to have an interview with True. Take it away, James.
Rip. Moment of silence, boys.
One more moment of silence for my boy Banksy over there.
I mean, in lots of ways, that was more polished than the last attempt. Though. Like, he did kind of get there. So yeah, I think Banks having some technical problems. So are we filling? Shall we fill in? We'll fill in. Apparently, as well in the other game, just so you know, Solar 1-3-1 apparently.
And that was against Saxry.
So,
so far, Solar's been doing very well in CVC, and like he beat Hydra earlier on in the tournament too, so that's big. And it's top 4 with 4 Zergs left. So
I know, but we thought they were going to struggle at this tournament, obviously, because of this recent nerf. And now I know it just.
I like Terran-wise, there was no Korean Terran here. Like Bunny was the best Terran that was. Oh, in fact, Hart was here. I do apologise, but I think Bunny was the best foreign or best Terran here. SOS best Protoss, I do believe, but yeah, these Zergs have been making them look very easy, man. Like True 3-0 Bunny, we had SOS get 3-0 by Hydra. I think maybe they're just a different class.
Yeah, I haven't seen SOS get 3-0 in a long time.
No.
I don't think, he'll probably be shell-shocked as well. But also shell-shocked, like a deer in the headlights, is James Banks, our interviewer. We're going to try again. How's it going, James?
Thank you, Richard. I can finally hear you guys. I'm having a little bit of technical issues. We didn't have any idea you were coming towards us, but we're joined by True. 3-0, very impressive win over the Korean killer there. Now, obviously on the first game, the depot went down. You were able to rush in, take the win. Now, did that give you the confidence that you could beat this Korean killer, to take him down with his playstyle?
첫 번째 경기에서 이제 보급가가 내려가면서 저글링이 들어가면서 엄청 이득을 볼 수 있었는데 그걸로 인해 좀 더 자신감을 얻고 다른 게임도 이겼는지 좀 그때 그 순간이 어땠는지.
그 순간에 그때 고민을 많이 했는데 그 화염사를 뒤에서 잡아먹을지 아니면 그냥 올라갈지 그러다가 그냥 운 좋게 들어가서 게임이 잘 풀렸던 것 같아요.
To be honest, I was thinking about if I should go in or like get the not Helvets, Hellions.
Yes.
Sorry, the Hellions, or go in and attack him. But I think I got a little bit lucky there, and that's why I won the game.
Brilliant. And now, obviously, Bunny, after that, a player that's like, he reacts to what everyone else is doing. Now, he started making a few mistakes, seemed like his confidence had been knocked, and True was just reacting to it perfectly. Could he just feel this and he just knew it was going his way?
이제 바니 선수가 알려진 게 잘 상대 선수의 맞춤으로 해가지고 잘 한다고 했는데 이번에 3대 0으로 깔끔하게 이겼는데 어떻게 준비를 하셨고 또 어떻게 이긴 것 같은지 한번 말씀해 주세요.
아, 원래 테란전에 좀 자신감이 있어서 딱히 준비한 건 없고요. 그냥 편하게 했고 제가 버니 선수랑 게임을 한 적이 없어서 저에 대한 좀 조사가 부족하지 않았나 싶어요.
I think I was able to win because I was pretty relaxed going into this match. I'm really confident in ZVT, and also I think because Bunny never played against me, his preparations, and I think he wasn't really able to analyze me as well.
Okay, and one final question before we head back to the analyst desk. What is going on with Zergs right now? They just look so strong. Any thoughts on that?
지금 4강이 거의 다 저그만 이제 다 올라가게 되는 것 같은데 저그가 지금 왜 이렇게 다 잘하고 있는지 개인 의견이 있나요?
지금 저그가 딱히 종족은 그렇게 세다고 생각하진 않는데 그나마 맵이 이게 예전보다 많이 할만해져가지고 네 그래서 지금 저그들이 잘 올라오고 있는 것 같아요.
I think Zerg as a race isn't particularly stronger than the other races, but the map pool right now is pretty good for Zerg. So I think that's why the Zergs are advancing.
So it's not Zerg OP, it is the map pool, says True. Guys, we're going to send it right back to the analyst room, and hopefully next time we do an interview, we will have no issues at all. Fingers crossed.
I don't know, James. I don't know if it's the... I don't know if it's the interview that's the problem. I think it's the interviewer. A bad workman blames his tools, doesn't he?
Certainly does.
That's how I look at it. But there you go. So I mean, True says that he feels the map pool's in a good spot for Zerg, and he says that he doesn't feel actually that the nerfs have made things too bad. He's looking pretty confident. So good for him. I mean, it's a big scalp to take Bunny down in such a convincing fashion.
Yeah, Bunny's been looking pretty darn strong this tournament. Yes, he was unhappy with his victory against Patience, which just shows how much of a hard worker and self-critical, But yeah, he did get murdered by True just then, and he was talking about how difficult or how much he dislikes the maps currently. And honestly, I'm a little bit biased. I play Terran too, but yeah, even when I play ladder, when I play in tournaments, it's very difficult playing against Zerg. Mutalisks get absolutely everywhere, and we saw in a few games, Bunny was definitely struggling against those mutas. He was hiding widow mines on top of buildings and such, but still, once those mutas get into a nice, neat spot, bouncing between bases and stuff, there's no real stopping them.
Yeah, especially on Inferno pools, it was very evident. He lost a bunch of mutas to the two widow mines there, but in the end, it didn't really matter. It might also be because the very aggressive style that Truthful never really went above 70 drones, sometimes not even taking a forward base that quick. I don't think in any of the games he took a forward base that quick.
Well, just to get an update on how the tournament's been going as a whole, we can bring up the bracket for you here. And you can see it's really starting to flash out now. We've got two incredible semi-finals. There's confirmation of Solar's victory there. But Jaedong versus Hydra, True versus Solar. This is big boy stuff.
These are some pretty neat matchups. I mean, Jaedong against Zerg, I hope it's still his best matchup because, that's all he's got to play in this tournament. Like, this would have been a dream scenario for him a year and a half ago when he was top dog, But Hydra, Solar, and True, those are all some really freaking strong players, man.
Yeah, freaking. I mean, Hydra as well, though. I mean, just so convincing in the first game of the day. Like, you're making a believer of me, Harstam, I mean... Talk about that matchup in particular. Do you think, can Hydra get past Jaedong?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest obstacle for Hydra will be Solar in the end. I think he's, he lost to him earlier as well, but I think it will be fine against Jaedong, or at least a little bit of hope as well, a little bit of bias here.
Yeah, well, just more than a little bit.
A tad.
Right, a wee tacker. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick break, I think. But thanks a lot for your thoughts so far. Obviously, we'll come back and we'll be bantering a bit more about everything that's going on as we move into the semi-finals. Don't go too far, though, guys. We'll take a short break and then we're going to bring you the rest of the action from here in London. See you soon.